children, the glamour, Blake Monroe, Mariah May figures have arrived to LJV. But before you review her, I need to make you more glamorous. Meet me in the collection room immediately.
Well, this should be fun. Alright, Queen Diva Marie, I got your note. I'm here. Wow. Alright, I'm going to be honest. I don't have all day. Are you ever going to finish rotating?
Well, excuse me for trying to make an entrance. If I go any faster, I get nauseous, and there's nothing hot about tossing my cookies. Capiche? You ready for a lesson in glamour or not?
Sorry. But yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. What could you possibly teach me to make me more glamorous?
Step 1. Add glitter to everything.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you right there, okay? Because glitter is like the herpes of the arts and crafts world. Once it's unleashed, it really never, ever goes away. Never.
Okay, that's a little TMI on your health history, but moving on.
No, I wasn't saying that I have her. Okay, moving on. What's the next piece of advice you have?
Next step is you have to have an attractive aura about you. Something that makes the ladies go crazy when they see you walk into a room.
Oh, come on. I kind of already have that covered. You see, I got this Jake Paul body spray, and let me tell you, this is a lady magnet. Hey, don't look at me like that. Listen, I'm serious. This can produces pure magic, okay? It even says right here on the label that 60% of the time, it works every time, all right? I'm just going to give a little spray. Let me show you how this works.
Oh, gosh. That smells like a turd covered in burnt hair.
Oh. Hey, look, I told you. When the ladies get a whiff of this scent, they come a-flocking.
That's what I smelled in the other room. I was about to call hazard control.
Oh, come on. This smells good, okay? And you know what? I don't need lessons from you. I am glamorous. And everybody, including Jake Paul, he knows it. I know it. Everybody knows it.
Well, that was a fail. Hey, come here, Alexa. Want to take some spins on this turntable? It can go really fast.
There's not much more in this world. I would want to do less.
Okay, that was a little bit rude. A simple no would have gone a long way there.
Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get started, I just remind you to please hit subscribe to become an official resident of LJV and get a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, like today's a very exciting review of AEW Unrivaled Series 18 Mariah May. I did not think this figure was going to come out. Now, mostly because months ago, she signed with WWE. She's been over in the NXT brand, performing under the name Blake Monroe. I actually got to see her NXT in-ring debut at the Great American Bash, and I loved it. I love her. I think she is so good, and she's been wrestling for quite some time. You know, she did a lot in Stardom, then she was in AEW, and obviously now she's in NXT. But yeah, when they first announced this figure, I'd say a year or two ago, I wasn't sure if we were going to get it when she did sign with WWE, but I am just so thrilled that we got a Jazzwares AEW figure of Mariah May, because hopefully we get a Mattel one in the future with WWE, but for now, I'm really excited to review this figure, especially with how awesome Jazzwares and AEW women's figures have been as of late. So with that being said, let's jump right in and take a closer look at the packaging. So I've said this a lot on my channel, and I stand by it, that I think the AEW Jazzwares line, both the Unrivaled and the Unmatched lines, has the best wrestling figure packaging out there. I just absolutely love the shape of it, the design, the color choices. I just think it's by far the best packaging out there. And it's important to note that they did make a little bit of a change with their Unmatched and Unrivaled line. They kind of changed that design of the back color. Also added some prints, some different design prints on the package here. But what I like about their changes that they made, the updates they made on the packaging, is it still primarily looks the same. And that is so important because Mattel, every couple years, they give us a brand new Elite style packaging, and in my opinion, it's just gone downhill year by year. Hopefully it makes an improvement in Elite 121, but that's beyond the fact. I do like that Jazzwares and AEW has stuck to the same look since the inception of the line, and I just think it's beautiful. So here with the Unrivaled line, we have the black and gold theme. We have a nice open window. We have an image of the beautiful and glamorous and stunning Mariah May, aka Blake Monroe. We have her name on the side, an image of her on the side, and then on the back, we have an image of what this attire is from. Now, I do like that they don't put the dates that the attire is from on the back of the package. They haven't done this in a few series, and I like that because honestly, a lot of times the dates were completely off, and that really bugged me. So at least we have an image of the attire. We have that little laser print autograph, whatever you want to call it there, beautiful signature. And I like that we have an image of what this attire is from, the match that it's from. So, and then we have the rest of the line. So very, very cool. Now I am hoping to get a hold of the Mariah May Chase or Rare. I need to see which one it is, but she does have the Rare or the Chase in this line. So I'm going to be hunting that one down. Now that being said, I'm going to open up this figure and let's take a closer look. AEW Jazzwares Unrivaled Series 18 Mariah May. This attire is from the All In London AEW pay-per-view, which took place on August 25th, 2024 from Wembley Stadium. On this night, Mariah would defeat Toni Storm to become the new AEW World Women's Champion. Alright, some overall first impressions of this figure. I am here to tell y'all that the face looks a lot better having it in hand. Now, we will do an up-close look at it, and I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I think a lot of the images online, especially when you look at this figure from a distance, it doesn't look very good, right? But having it in front of me, looking up close a little bit, I think it's much better in hand. So I will say that. Now, beyond that, I think this is a beautiful figure. I think there's so much detail, once again, that Jazzwares put into this figure that it does solidify them on top for making the best women's wrestling figures. And they have for the last couple years now. So shout out to all the detail and love that went into this figure. So she does come with the AEW World Women's Championship, which we have gotten on a few different occasions already. Most notably the black and white version on that ringside exclusive Toni Storm. But as you can see, the detail here, let's zoom in because you can't really see. There we go. The detail here on this title is beautiful. I think it is scaled perfectly, and I really like how this title looks, and it's pretty cool that we got this title because she won it this night. She won this title on this evening, and that's a big moment for her in her career, so I'm glad she came with this. Now, she comes packaged with hands that are kind of posing in a unique stance there, and then she also comes with these other hands, which are semi-grasping. I will say, as far as the hands go, I wish we would have got one hand that had the finger kind of hooked that you can put in her mouth there, like on her teeth, doing the little... But I digress. You could probably make that happen with these hands, so... Now, with that being said, let's take a closer look at the face sculpt, face scan, and hair sculpt. So I'm just going to cut to the chase here and say that the face scan is definitely off. Now, I say scan because I think the face sculpt itself is excellent. I think they did a good job replicating the overall shape of her face, her nose, her cheeks, her chin. I think the sculpt is tremendous, but I think the scan definitely leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I think what's making the scan look off is the eyebrows are a little too thick, and I think her eyeballs themselves are just a little too big on the scan. Now, I'm being completely honest, and I stand by this, that it does look a lot better in person. Having it in front of me, looking at it up close, I think it does look a lot better. I think the images online looked really, really bad, really amplified how it looked for the worst. But having it in front of me, I do think it looks a lot better. But yeah, it definitely has room for improvement here, and I by no means think it is a perfect scan. We will say that. But as I mentioned, the face sculpt itself, I really like. And the hair sculpt is beautiful. I do think the hair sculpt could have had a little bit more volume on the top, maybe a little bit more character with the coloration of it, adding some highlights, some darker root colors. But I think it works just fine. And I think the shade of blonde that they used looks really, really good. Now looking at that sculpt all around, we do have pretty thick curls sculpted throughout. So yeah, the hair sculpt works really well, and the face sculpt is really good. But as I mentioned, that scan is definitely a little bit off, but it could have definitely been worse. So I think where this figure absolutely shines is the body sculpt in the attire. Once again, Jazzwares knocked it out of the park, giving a lot of unique details, unique sculpting, really good part choices here to make this figure feel individualized, to feel special, to feel like a mini Mariah May. They've been doing such a good job with their women's wrestling figures, making each one feel so unique and such a good representation of the superstar themselves. And this figure's no different. It is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of really unique details, not just in the sculpting, but the paint application, and I love it. Now with the body part choices, I think they did an excellent job here with the legs, the arms, the torso. I think the chest is a really good choice. I think the part choices are excellent. Now looking at the attire itself, what's really cool, and I was wondering how they were going to execute, is the attire she wore. She had like furry shoulder pads, I will say that. And I wasn't sure how they were going to incorporate that in her attire, but they did an excellent job with these little sculpted pieces there, and I believe the pieces are glued in place. I don't want to mess with them too much, but I don't think they're peg holed in. I think they're just glued in place, so they look really good. We'll see if that inhibits the range of motion of the figure a little later on in the review, but it looks really good. Now, some other really cool details in the sculpting work that I really appreciated is look at the top. Her top here, not only is the border sculpted on, but we have this little heart piece sculpted on with the silver trim, a baby pink color in the middle. And then on her arm, we have this really cool arm piece that is very accurate to what she wore the night of this match. That's very cool. And then another really cool sculpted detail in the attire is this belt that she has that is a removable piece. Now, if you do take this figure apart at the waist, you can take it off, but it looks really good on her, so that's really cool, and it has a lot of sculpted detail in the buckles, the loops, the silver is painted on there, and metallic, and it looks really good. Now, moving on down to her bottoms, as far as additional sculpted detail, we have this little piece of fabric sculpted on there with pink and baby blue colors, and it looks fantastic. Moving on down to her legs here, we do have dark legs, okay, but I will say that simulates pantyhose or stockings. I can't tell you how many people online, anytime they release a women's wrestling figure that has darker legs, they're like, why do their legs look like hot dogs? It's supposed to be pantyhose or stockings. You know, there was a Carmella basic figure that came out years ago that a lot of people didn't seem to understand the principle, but that's what this is. Now, did they maybe go a little overboard, maybe make it too dark, maybe they should have made it like fishnetty a little bit? Yeah, maybe, but I think it works just fine. I really do. Now, some other unique sculpting that we have is when you go down to the boots, we do have these brand new kick pad sculpted boots there. And then on the back of her boots, we have these laces that are sculpted on going all the way up. So I wanted to show you just how detailed and how unique they make their women's wrestling figures as far as little sculpting pieces, little things to add character to the figure. Now, looking at the color and the design of the attire, we have that top, which is like a baby blue design with a really intricate pink design painted on the top here. As I mentioned, we have the silver heart and a metallic silver. These straps are, yeah, they are sculpted on there, painted white with a silver buckle in the middle. Going around the back of her attire, we have these straps that are a little bit raised and painted baby blue and pink. We have this heart that is sculpted out in the back of her top, a very cool detail there. We have her armbands painted on her right side, and it goes up into that furry shoulder pad, so it does look like it's part of the attire. Very, very cool there. And as I mentioned, we have this unique sculpted removable piece on her left arm, which is very, very cool. The belt is white, as I mentioned, but it does kind of intertwine with the painted attire of her bottoms here, which it is that pink base color with so much intricate paint detail that you really have to have it in hand to look and appreciate all the detail that went into it. Now that pattern goes around to the back side where we have a little split of the baby blue and the pink. We have her little garters, I guess you could say, painted on her thigh. I wish these bows would have been sculpted, but I get that would have been a little bit of an ask there, so I think it looks just fine painted. It's painted very cleanly, and it looks really good. Now moving on down to her boots, as I mentioned, they are like a little combo here. They are really tall boots, and the way that they made them is there's a little bit of a ledge here, and then there's some folds sculpted in there to really show that the boots, or the sleeves that go over the boots, are going all the way up, and it looks really cool. You can see the kick pads poking through, and you can even see the white boot design underneath the pink kick pad mold. And then on the back, as I mentioned, this is all unique sculpting here with white going across on the laces and then baby blue in the base background color. So yeah, as far as the attire goes, I mean, this segment was way longer than I expected, but there's so much detail and care and love that goes into the attire of a lot of these women's wrestling figures made by Jazzwares and AEW. And I love the uniqueness and the effort put into them. Beautiful. Mariah May doesn't have a WWE figure to compare this figure to. However, we can compare it to the ringside exclusive Toni Storm because they had quite the feud, quite the friendship. You know, this night, Mariah May won the Women's World Championship from Toni Storm, so if you're going to display Mariah with another AEW figure, it's probably going to be Toni, and I will say that they are scaled nicely together. They look perfect next to each other. Now, Toni is listed at 5'6", Mariah 5'8", so if you look at these two next to each other, Mariah's got a couple inches on her, and yeah, they look awesome together. I do hope, and I think we will, get this Toni Storm released in color. I think there were images showed at this past Comic-Con of this same Toni figure, but she was colorized. I think that would look a little bit better for fig photography with Mariah. So yeah, I think these two look stunning together. Super happy with these two. Alright, so as far as articulation goes, the head can move in all different directions, but I do have a complaint here. I cannot stand this joint, this kind of hinge type joint they have in the neck, because all it does is allows the head to look really far forward, really far back. It's just an awkward motion that is unnecessary in my opinion. And the reason I don't like it is, for one, I think it's an eyesore there, and I also cannot stand it whenever the figure comes with alternate heads because it makes switching the heads out almost impossible. You're trying to put the head on the peg, and the peg keeps rolling forward because of that joint. So I wish they would get rid of that joint. I digress. Now the shoulder can move in all different directions, and I am happy to say that even though we have this fur piece, it is a softer type rubber or plastic, and we still get a lot of movement. It really doesn't inhibit that shoulder motion too much. You can't really reach too much over her head, but either way it does allow for some motion. We have the upper bicep swivel. We have double jointed elbows that can really flex there. We have wrists that can go in all different directions. They can also extend up, flex down. We have an upper torso swivel, which has a lot of movement going around there. We have a waist swivel there. We have hips on a ball joint that can move in all different directions. We have an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees that can really flex. We also have we'll say a mid-boot swivel. Usually it's the top of the boots, but because she has these high boots on, mid-boot swivel there. And then the feet are really good and articulated. You can push them down, push them up, and then rock them a little bit side to side. So yeah, her articulation is really, really good here, but I do wish Jazzwares would get rid of that neck articulation there. So overall, I give AEW Unrivaled Series 18 Mariah May an overall score of a 9.4 out of 10. So this figure is going to get a lot of unwarranted hate based on how the face scan looks in images, especially the images online that were posted. As I mentioned, it looks a lot better in person, but it does have room for improvement, and that's why this figure falls short of having a higher score. Now, as far as the rest of the figure goes, absolutely beautiful. The detail and care and love put into each and every women's wrestling figure by Jazzwares and AEW the last couple years now is awesome. I mean, that's what us women's wrestling figure collectors want to see, and they've been doing such a good job at it. So yes, the face scan is definitely a little bit off, but as far as the rest of the figure goes, it is absolutely beautiful, and I highly suggest anyone out there that's a fan of Mariah May, Blake Monroe, AEW, WWE, NXT, anyone that collects women's wrestling figures, go out and get this figure because it's definitely worth it. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today to get a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV at checkout to save 10% on your next order of women's wrestling figures. Thanks for watching, and have a great night, y'all.